Our lesson for today is the perfect square trinomial. It is another form of factorization. So we factorize by this method. Now, in the chapter of expanding, we are familiar with this form. A plus b all squared, we expand it as the square of the first, the square of the second, then first times second times 2. We get 3 terms. So a trinomial means 3 terms. So we have a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, which is a 3-term polynomial. Now, we said that the factorization is the inverse operation of expanding. In expanding, we went from this form to this form. In factorizing, we have to go from this form back to this form. How can we tell if the trinomial is a perfect square? Not all trinomials are perfect squares, so we have to follow this method. The first term should be a square of a number, so 25x squared is the square of 5x. The 4 is the square of 2. Now the middle term is the first times second times 2, so we have to check if this times 2 will be equal to this term. Now 5x times 2, which is, we got it from here, times the other 2, and we get 20x, and since we have a minus here, then our answer is 5x minus 2 all squared. In the second example, 49x squared is the square of 7x. 25 is the square of 5. Now we check for the middle term. 7x times 5 times 2 is 70x, so the middle term here is 70x, so we can factorize it as a perfect square, which is 7x, since this is plus 5 all squared. We go to the third example. The square root of 100x squared is 10x. The square root of 9 is 3. Now 10x times minus 3 times 2 is equal to minus 60x. So again, this is a perfect square trinomial. In the fourth example, the square root of 121x squared is 11x. The square root of 4 is 2. So 11x times 2 times another 2 is 44x. So this is the factorization. Now here, if I look here, 3 is not a square. 75 is not a square. But if I look at each of these terms, they are all divisible by 3. So I factorize the 3 outside. And I will get this. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 25 is 5. The middle term is minus, so it's a minus. X times 5 times 2 is minus 10x. So this is the factorization. In exercise 6, if I look at each of the terms, I can factorize 5x outside. I will be left with x squared minus 6x plus 9. Again, this is a perfect square, and it is x minus 3 all squared. In number 7, I have 3 terms. I can factorize 6y outside. I will be left with this. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of 4 is 2. X times minus 2 times 2 is minus 4x, so this is a perfect square trinomial. The last example, the square root of 4x squared is 2x. The square root of 25 is 5. So the middle term should be 2x times 5 times 2. So the middle term is 2x times 5. It has to be 20 and not 10. So in this case, this trinomial is not a perfect square and it cannot be factorized.